The last thing we're going to look at before we start writing is tone color. So this is our last tool I'm going to share with you. Tone color is what you hear. So you've been listening to me speak. So my speaking voice is tone color. So somebody singing or speaking is tone color. Somebody playing an instrument, you've got your violin, you've got your kazoo, you've got your theremin, you've got your koto, you've got your shamisen. An instrument that's playing is tone color. And then there's a third one that's a little controversial, and you're going to have to decide, does noise count as music to you? So I'm going to play something, and I want you to tell me thumbs up or thumbs down whether this sounds like music to you. Okay, how many people feel like that's musical? Do you like the sound of the birds? I have some people who say, it doesn't sound like music like I think of music, but it's pretty. Okay, what if it was 4:30 in the morning and you get to sleep in and that's all you can hear through your window? What is it now? To me, that's noise. I do not like to hear the birds wake me up. So it becomes noise. But when I get up and walk my dog, it's then music to me because I'm loving hearing that sound. But that's something personal. You decide for yourself what that tone color is. And so we're going to look a little more at particular things with voices. Okay, so for voices, we have speaking.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade?
Okay, so that was a speaking voice. That happens to be Amanda Gorman, who is the youngest poet laureate ever in the United States, and she got to speak at the inaugural ceremony for President Biden in January. Okay, my next word would be singing. And so I have an example for you of a singing voice. So instrumental is our third one. And by the way, that was Dua Lipa, and I love Dua Lipa, but she does have some words, and so I'm a little more careful. View Pure, and I use the lyrics on that one as well. My high school kids want to listen to it as is, but the rules of the school do not allow me to play swear words in the music, so I always do the lyric version and clean for radio airplay. Okay, so for instrumental, I don't know if you know about the two cello guys, but they're awesome. So I would point out there that they're playing cellos, and you notice that one guy's bow is shredded because they rock those cellos. They take the two cello guys take pieces and put them into cello presentations. It's a really cool way, but they're only using instruments. There is no singing happening in that. So those are the different examples of voices. So now I'm going to move on to the last word that we're going to do in our form and tone color, and that's an acoustic. And that's an instrument that does not use electricity to produce sound. And my first example is a drum set. We call this a drum kit or a trap set. My second example is an acoustic guitar. That's the first one instrument my students learn to play in the classroom. They play acoustic guitar, electric bass, keyboards, and drums. So that's a good way for me to introduce acoustic. And then, of course, the piano is an acoustic instrument because it doesn't require electricity. So moving on, the last time we were together, we made 3 layers of harmony on our last composition day. So Elizabeth Ross, this is the picture that's showing you. If you click on the harmony window, I always call it the ant farm. You can put multiple colors into one window. So this is what we did before the brunch break. And so we have a color here that's repeated here, and then we have a layer with two, and then we have the third color here on the bottom. So this is harmony because two or more things are happening at the same time. Okay, so today what we're going to do is add tone color. And I'm just going to show you in the rhythm example, you would use the arrow tool, and Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, it should work similarly in the new beta model. You click on the window and you can change that to a conga. And you click on this window and you can make that a whistle. And you do this one and that's claves. And that's part of the brilliance of why it's taking Peter a while to get the rhythm one done, because he has a huge musical library of sound choices. There's a police siren, there's multiple things that they can make their drum windows turn into. Okay, and then you use your arrow tool to highlight one line in the drum window, and then you're going to choose. Now, when that's all done, I'll have the directions here on how to put the percussion choices in. You just drag down and you listen to it and you click on it, and then that line of the drum window becomes that tone color. Okay, so now we're going to do this ourselves. Bring up your Hyperscore, and we're going to choose a melody tone color. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the piano on the left side of our melody window. We all followed the directions the first day with Ms. Rodabush. We have a piano in the window. And then what I want you to do is click on that piano, and you are going to discover something amazing that Peter made, which is a wheel that has multiple tone colors on it. And as you scroll around the wheel, you hear the different sounds of the instruments. So maybe you hear the flute play and you say, that's the sound I want to hear. Or I want a violin or a viola. Or I really love this pipe organ that's over here. So why don't you right now change each of your melody windows to a color, a different tone color that you would like that. And you can keep it as piano if you want to. Make sure to play it to make sure you like the tone color you chose. Some of our students are going to have 3 windows to change. Some of them are going to have 6 windows to change. So I'd be looking around the classroom or be watching in the Zoom chat to see when the first person says they're done, then we move on. Pretend you've changed all your tone colors, and we're going to continue on here.
Generally, every stroke in the sketch window will have the same tone color as the associated melody window, but you can take one and make it different, and that's a good way of doing variation. The button just to the right of the color there, so you can change the color and then you can change the tone color.
The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some form. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take the right side, grab and hold the right side of your harmony window, and I want you to pull it out as far as you can. And if you need to, scoot it over on the left so that you can pull it out and give yourself lots of space. So click and drag on the right side of your harmony to make it at least twice as long. You can go longer if you want to. Use your arrow to highlight everything that's in this window, and you want to be careful not to touch anything extra, just the ones you want to play. And then you can scoot it over. A higher sound would be a variation, or you can leave it in exactly the same place. And now I'm going to show you something called the copy and paste tool. Peter made it so that you can click on this symbol and it makes an exact copy. You grab it by the color and scoot it over wherever you want it, higher, lower, or the same, which is what I've done. I've made mine in the same place, but just left some room for me to put a B section in here. If that's not enough room, you can pull out the end again and put another, leave some room for a coda on the end of your piece. Higher or lower makes it a variation. So if I made this lower, it would be an A1. If I made it higher, it would be an A1. If I went in and made this a flute and turned this into a timpani, that would make it an A1 because I've changed something about it. Next, we're going to add an introduction here. So if you want to have an introduction, you're going to click on the pen tool and pick out the color and draw your introduction in the first two columns. I made a short and then a longer sounding of my yellow window. And if I like, I could now add a bridge between the sections here or a B section, or you can do bridges and Bs in between. You'd have to pull out your right wall of the sketch window, give yourself more room here in the middle. But I decided to do a bridge, and I made my bridge just be 3 soundings of my red melody, which is hot cross buns. Okay, so we have an introduction, we have our letter A, we have a bridge, we have a repeat of the letter A. So of course, the other thing we can do now is decide if we want a coda. And again, you might have to drag the window out a little more to fit the coda onto the end of your piece. Draw your coda, then listen to your piece and edit as needed. So I've decided to go back and put that bridge as my coda, my special ending. And what I did is I changed the sounds of the instruments so it's different than the bridge here. So do you think you're done? You can be done if you want to be done, but Hyperscore has an awesome feature that you don't want to miss out on. And it's called the harmony line. So we have form here. Look at visually again, we have an introduction, we have an A section, we have a bridge, we have a repeat of the A section, and because I used a different instrument, this became our special ending or the coda. But right now our piece is intro A, B, A coda, or A bridge A coda. You could do one last thing called the harmony line, and you have to, I never try to explain this to kids because they don't get it. But June passed me some words that I just love. That yellow, when you see yellow, it's going to create tension. When you change the harmony line here in the middle and it makes the screen blue, you've created suspense. And when you pull on the harmony line and you make it green, you've done something called resolution. And if you don't like it, you can just do the edit undo. But I'm going to show you my version with the harmony line. So what I did is I pulled on the line here and I created a green section. So here's a little resolution, but then I have some suspense here. White is what I wrote before. Then I've got green, blue, and then I'm getting close to the end of my piece. I want to make it tense and dramatic. So there's my tension here. I go back to my own, and then I have a resolution of the tension, and it's going to end exactly like I wrote it before. And this is something very special within Hyperscore that no other program has, is your ability to add tension, suspension, and resolution into your piece. Okay, so why don't you do a B section and put in a coda, and then I want you to mess with the harmony line. And the first person who's done, I want you to tell me, and then we'll move on. Okay, so go ahead and put in a B section or bridge, a coda, and then move the harmony line. And remember, if you don't like the harmony line, you can do edit undo. Can you show me with your hand if you've had a chance to do the B section or the bridge? Okay, we have people still working on bridge. Okay, Elizabeth, I know you popped in and out, so I'm just going to tell you real quick that what they're doing right now is they're writing a B section or a bridge.
Okay, when I was in earlier, when I would write in the harmony box, it would not let me, like it wouldn't play anything back.
Okay, so we talked about that earlier this morning, and what happens is in the harmony window, you have to have a melody or a rhythm window associated with that color. So if you're drawing with purple and you don't have a purple melody, then it's not going to play anything. So if you go to your purple and change it to one of the colors of the windows that you wrote, then it's going to play.
But that explains what the colors are for too. I didn't know if they were just like assign a different part or whatever. So that makes sense.
And you can actually make 10 yellow windows if you want to.
When you have multiple windows with the same color, it takes the window of that color that's closest to the stroke that is the color.
Got it. Okay.
So there again, you can make a very advanced composition by having multiple windows of yellow. You just have to tell the harmony window which one you're using. So thank you, Elizabeth, because that's something that I told them this morning, that usually I don't teach that. I wait until it happens to somebody and then it becomes a natural teachable moment. Can you show me with a show of hands, how many of you have your bridge or your B section done? Okay, Peter's done. So what I'm going to ask you to do is stop working on your B section and make a coda. I'd like you to now go to the end of your piece and make a coda. And then when you have your day to finish your composition, you can come back and work on that B section, make it exactly like you want it. But for right now, because the bell's going to ring, I'd like you to make a coda. And I'm going to tell you real quick before I make myself be quiet, is that you don't have to have a coda if you don't want one. You're the composer, you get to pick. Okay, I'm going to do a little check-in. Is anyone done with their coda?
Sorry, I can't fit everything into my window.
Okay. Grab the arrow tool and pull the side of your harmony window out a little further, and that's going to give you some more room. And you can pull it as far as you want.
I can't get it. It's at the max of what? And I've like wheeled in and I've zoomed in and zoomed out.
If you move the whole window to the left, then you might have more room to pull it to the right.
No, it actually cuts me off.
That's something that Peter and I were finding. Things happen to me that weren't happening for Peter in the beta model, and he's just taking note of that.
Okay.
Okay, so you're not able, even when you pull it to the left, you're not able to make the harmony window bigger. Right, so that's something we'll note and get that fixed, because it should pull out. I'm not saying infinity anymore, Peter, but it should pull out so that you can put your coda in. And one of the things I always have to do when students are using this is, if a kid gets frustrated, to remind them that we have more time. Just because our time is flying by today doesn't mean that you're not going to have time to finish that composition later on. So we'll work on getting that fixed the next time, and then hopefully, Lisa, you can pull it out and add your coda in. Okay, so I'm going to stop everybody right there. Everybody hit save to make sure that your composition is exactly what you wanted it to be so far. And when you come back to class the next time, I'm going to give you your day to work on finishing your composition for 40 points. And your points are going to be for having 1 to 3 rhythms, 1 to 3 melodies, a harmony window that has 2 or more colors in it, an A section that's been repeated, and then an intro, bridge, coda, which are optional. And I have that all written down on a slide for them, that's the assignment. Okay, so, but congratulations, because you now have 6 tools in your composition toolbox. You have rhythm, melody, harmony, dynamics, form, and tone color. And probably, Peter, can you think of anything? Those are the things I taught. Can you think of anything that you've written into the program that I haven't even caught on to yet in my time working with the model?
Touched on every aspect of it.
Okay, all right. Basically, the students would be ready to turn in their 40-point composition. I'd give them a whole day. If kids ask me for more time, I always give them more time. And philosophically, I'm the kind of teacher that I do not judge their piece based on whether I like it. And you might be somebody that it feels very important to you that you like what you hear. I base my judgment on if they follow the rules of composition. Do they have rhythm? Do they have melody? Do they have harmony? Do they have dynamics, form, and tone color? And at my junior high, we practice redo. You could add another rhythm in or to get more points. So I might say you've got 30 out of 40 points because you only have 1 rhythm, and you didn't change the dynamic levels on any of your sections of your piece. Or I don't see any tone colors other than piano. We use Canvas. And so I could send my student a message in Canvas and say, if you want up to 10 more points, I need this, this, and this from you. And then they can resubmit their composition for more points. Slides Carnival is a free on the internet that you can use. They just ask that at some point you point out that you're using Slides Carnival that has such wonderful templates.